It's Lindsay with New Mexico Surrogacy with today's question. Today's question is, what is the average time that it takes for a gestation from when a gestational surrogate submits an application to the transfer of an embryo? It's a great question, and parts of it are hard to answer because a lot of it is not really up to us. So let's try to give you a rough idea. So when you apply to be a gestational carrier, you have to set up a time to interview. And then once that depends on when you have time to meet with us. So that's not really in our control. If you can't meet with us for a month, then it's going to take a little longer. So once you meet with us, we get your medical records. So that is also out of our hands a bit. Some medical facilities are really great, and they can get the medical records to us in a day or two, and some take months. We need to get your OB records and your delivery records for every single pregnancy. So a lot of that depends on how quick their turnaround time is to get the medical records. So if this is something you're thinking about, it's a great idea to maybe start rounding up those records, your OB records and your delivery records, because they're two separate things. So then once we have all of your records, we can get your initial medical review, and that usually takes about a week. And once we get approval on that, things move a little bit quicker. We send you to a psychologist, and depending on your schedule, we can usually get you in about a week. And then once we have clearance, we can start the matching process. And then matching depends on kind of who's available at the time and whether they're a good match for you. We generally have more intended parents ready to match than we do gestational carriers. So as long as you're, fairly open and you're reasonable what you're looking for, it should go fairly quickly. And then if you have things like good health insurance, the matching part can take anywhere from 6 weeks to 2 months usually, where, depending on also on your availability for a match meeting. So from there, once you've met with your IPs and you decide that it's a match after your match meeting, your records are then sent to the intended parent's reproductive and endocrinology clinic. And then that usually takes them about 2 weeks to review all of your records. And then once they approve you, then you can move on to have your 1-day workup with that clinic. So if you're local, what you'll do is the first day of your next period cycle, you give them a call, and they'll schedule you out between 6 days and 13 days of your next cycle. That's something else we can't control. Unfortunately, we can't control when you have your period. So sometimes we kind of wait around on when you have your period. So then once you have your 1-day workup, it can take 7 to 14 days to get your results and get full medical clearance. And then once you get your full medical clearance, you've got to go to legal. And then legal can take anywhere from 2 weeks to a month, depending. And then you can start your medications. Once you start your medications, a couple weeks later, the transfer usually takes 25 days after the start of the medications. So usually from the point of when you're matched with your intended parents until the actual day of the transfer is about 3 to 5 months. So as you can see, all of this really depends on a lot of different factors. There's a lot of different moving parts, which is why we generally, we say that's what an agency can help with, is all of these moving parts and keeping things going. So 3 to 5 months, generally speaking, from the time you are matched until you have the embryo transfer. So it is a bit of a process because there are a lot of things to gather. So that is the answer to the question today. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you next week. Bye.